Fast forward to the end of the Total Energies AFCON 2022 tournament. After an amazing performance, the Cameroonian team was kicked out of the semifinals by the Pharaohs of Egypt. Senegal went ahead to beat Egypt in the finals and took the African Nations Cup for the first time in history. However, Cameroon's Vincent Aboubakar scored 8 goals in the competition with an outstanding performance to claim the Golden Boot, while his teammate Karl Toko Ekambi scored 5 goals to become the second highest goal scorer in the tournament. Senegal's Sadio Mane was awarded Best Player of the tournament because he took his team to the finals. Cameroon's Fai Collins and Martin Hongla had 3 goal assists, stand in first place with Burkina Faso's Issa Kabore. Cameroon's Mumianga Maulu had 2 goal assists to stand in second place with Burkina Faso's Bertrand Traoré. The African Cup of Nations, or AFCON, is simply the biggest football spectacle on the African continent. Africa has undoubtedly produced some of the biggest stars in the game, including the likes of Roger Milla, Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, George Weah, JJ Okocha, Abedi Ayew, professionally known as Abedi Pele, Benny McCarthy, Idris Carlos Kameni, Emmanuel Adebayor, Nwankwo Kanu, and more recently, Vincent Aboubakar, Kelechi Iheanacho, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Victor Osimhen, Fai Collins, Riyad Mahrez, Gia Clinton, and Edouard Mendy. Here on the African continent, football is more than just a sport, or be it the most popular sport on earth. You see, here in Africa, it has become part of the African culture and lifestyle. In Africa, football is simply a religion. Africans live and breathe the game. It's the most unifying force ever conceived. The game has resolved everything from family feuds to huge political issues, even bringing heads of state and countrymen alike to tears. There has never been anything more powerful than football, and Africans best exemplify the power of the game and grip the game has over people. The first AFCON was held in 1957, with Egypt being crowned as the continent's first ever champions. Of course, they would go on to become 7-time winners and become the most decorated African team in history. But that's a story for another day. Because you see, today, the spotlight is on AFCON 2022 hosts, Cameroon. And you don't know much about Cameroon at all, then my friends, you're on a need-to-know basis. Cameroon is a small country on the west coast of Africa with a modest economy, beautiful landscapes and waterfalls, elaborate savannas, sprawling with all sorts of wildlife. And if you take a short trip to the south of the country, you find luscious green, thick forests, beaming with wildlife. It's no doubt Cameroon is unquestionably beautiful. It's been touted as Africa in miniature, meaning everything you can find in any part of Africa at all is also found in Cameroon. Except for camels. Cause don't be ridiculous. Their camels in Cameroon is like so far from the desert, and yeah, they don't have camels. Cameroon may seem like quite a paradise right off the bat, but don't let those enchanting landscapes fool you, cause when it comes to this country, well, let's just say they're a handful of country. The leader of the country is Paul Biya, and the reason why that name probably sounds familiar is that Paul Biya has led the country for over 40 years despite numerous accusations of voter fraud and election rigging. Considering that 60% of Cameroon's population is under the age of 35, more than half the country wasn't even born when Paul Biya became president. I warned you, didn't I? Cameroon can be a handful. Despite their autocratic regime, Cameroon has managed to become the second most decorated African football team, coming only second to Egypt. Cameroon has won the AFCON 5 times. First in 1984, then 1988, 2000, 2002, and 2017. Is it just me? Or does it seem like there was a period there where Cameroon seemed to be the only African champions for 2 consecutive AFCONs? Well, it's safe to say that was their golden era. Cameroon has also produced some of the finest footballers the world has ever seen, including Roger Milla, Thomas Kuno, the legendary Samuel Eto'o, who is now the president of Cameroon's Football Federation. Cameroon now has rising stars like Gia Clinton, Vincent Aboubakar, Andre Onana, Mumianga Maulu, Fai Collins, Koundé Molan, Toko Ekambi, Choupo-Moting, Simon Ngadiou, and Nuhu Tolo, Christian Bossobak amongst others who represented the country during the AFCON 2022 tournament. With that, we can finally move on and talk about the absolute failure that is Cameroon's attempt to host the 2019 AFCON, which was stripped away from them because, well, they simply weren't prepared. They had to build stadiums from the ground and so on. The CAF, African football's governing body, even had to release a statement that due to significant delay with the building of stadiums and related infrastructure, but gave a final chance by planning 2 more inspection visits in October of 2018. It simply was a disaster. A truly embarrassing moment for Cameroon. If you're Cameroonian and you're watching this, I guess you were truly embarrassed for your country because they slumped there. Cameroon, however, being in good spirits and feeling hard done by appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and cornered the CAF into letting them host the next edition in 2021. However, due to COVID, the tournament was rescheduled to take place in 2022 instead. Hey, I'm still disappointed Cameroon, but that court move was off the hook. They get a cool 5 stars for sticking it to CF for me. So, with Cameroon finally set to host and everything running smoothly, what could go wrong? Like I said, Cameroon can be a handful. The political unrest in the country spanning 5 years now has put the country in an unprecedented situation. Separatists in the northwest and southwest region of the country pose a pertinent security risk not only to the players and fans, but they pose a risk to ending the tournament as a whole. This is the reason why the Cameroonian Defense Forces are keen on making this the most security-robust tournament I certainly have ever seen. The government is sparing no expense in having the military run some of the most detailed security maneuvers in the book. In the city of Limbe, which is meant to host some of the matches of the AFCON, multitudes of armored vehicles have been spotted making their way into the city to crack down on hostility and any behavior presumed suspicious. Maneuvering the military like this isn't cheap, as defense spending in Cameroon is skyrocketing into the billions by the day, partly due to the ongoing separatist crisis, but also because the nation has a tendency to go overboard where it shouldn't. But what about the economics of all of this? And how the hell can Cameroon afford all the new stadiums and arenas, coming to a total of 3 brand new stadiums constructed solely for this tournament, including and the renovation of several others, not to mention all the other infrastructure that is necessary for tournaments of this scale to commence, including airport updates, train stations, and roads linking some locations. With the Africa Cup of Nations expanded from 16 to 24 teams, at least 6 venues are expected to be used across 5 Cameroonian cities. The 6 stadiums selected to host matches were the Olimbe Stadium and Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in the capital city of Yaoundé, the Japoma Stadium in Douala, which is said to cost an estimated $232 million, having a capacity of 50,000 seats, the Limbe Stadium in Limbe with a capacity of 20,000 seats costing $162 million, the Kouikong Stadium in Bafoussam with a capacity of 20,000 seats, and the Rome de Agia Stadium in Garoua. The opening match of the tournament and the final took place at the brand new 60,000-seater capacity Olimbe Stadium in Yaoundé, which costs an estimated $345 million to build. Despite the high official estimated costs, many made the point that these stadiums cost a lot more than the official figures, and the total budget for the tournament exceeded $2 billion, considering some of the stadiums, however, match-ready, aren't even structurally 100% completed. This huge project Cameroon took on will no doubt only trickle down to hurt them, because even the most basic infrastructure that has been built has come in the form of loans, not to mention the corrupt and spineless government officials who only see this as an opportunity to make a quick buck. But don't take my word for it, take the word of the economist Emmanuel Cummey. He expects that the boost in tourism will not offset the infrastructure investments involved in hosting the competition.
It's an overinvestment. The stadia built cost 6 times more than the norm. The sources of funding are also sometimes non-concessional loans on the financial markets at exorbitant rates. Such loans are dedicated to productive and profitable projects. To do so for this football competition is a folly. The investment was ill-timed, ill-thought out. It is wrong.
Accusing authorities of being unable to carry out the tourism and employment projects undertaken a few years ago, he said the country had taken on too much debt. He further went on to say,
"Our public debt is now more than 4 to 5%. The African Cup in this context is certainly an important project, but it isn't profitable. We shouldn't be indebting ourselves so much amid an economy in difficulty for that. It's a politically explicable but economically very bad choice."
So why is this AFCON probably the most expensive in history? Well, on paper the budget for running the competition might seem dismissive, as it stands at a modest 13 billion francs CFA, or around $22 million. However, if you consider the actual cost, neglecting official government propaganda estimates, also including the cost of the new stadiums and facilities, you'll come to a round figure that surpasses even the 2013 AFCON hosted by South Africa. Considering that most of the stadiums and infrastructure were built for the World Cup in 2010, the actual cost of then hosting another tournament, which was smaller in comparison to the World Cup, was a breeze for South Africa. So assessing and considering everything, Cameroon might have just managed to host the most expensive AFCON we've ever seen. No doubt, the 2022 AFCON hosted in Cameroon was the best in the tournament's history. The ambience and vibrant spirit throughout the tournament had never been seen before. What do you guys think about the exorbitant costs of the AFCON? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe and officially become a tourister to keep enjoying the most inspiring, daring, and newsworthy content on development, business, and finance on the African continent. Thanks for watching and see you in another video.